I hope to have a very successful meeting. If we don't think it's going to be successful, Mark, we won't have it. We won't have it. If I think that it's a meeting that is not going to be fruitful, we're not going to go. If the meeting when I'm there is not fruitful, I will respectfully leave the meeting.
President Trump on Wednesday saying he's prepared to walk away from talks with North Korea, tentatively planned for later this spring. The White House confirmed this week that CIA Director and Secretary of State nominee Mike Pompeo held a secret meeting with Kim Jong-un over Easter weekend, setting the stage for the historic summit between the two leaders. Retired four-star Army General Jack Keane is a Fox News senior strategic analyst. Welcome, General Keane. Good to have you back here. What do you make of all the cross currents here on North Korea? It's a lot of change that really is moving in the direction of a high-stakes discussion between the president Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, I think Director Pompeo's visit was really pivotal. I spoke to the director on North Korea at length, and I knew that he has a huge grasp of all the issues, and the CIA profiles Kim Jong-un, and he went there knowing who this leader truly is.
Right.
So what he got, I think, from the leader is what we're seeing publicly now, that he does no longer hold removing U.S. troops as a condition to have these discussions on denuclearization. I think he got some other things from that leader as well to convince the president that he should go forward and have a visit with him, despite the huge political liability of such a visit if he comes out of there empty-handed. He knows he's dealing with a liar and a cheat, and that's why he's sending this message to him that he wants this visit to be positive. And I'll tell you, Paul, there is a real opportunity here that we're facing. We could be on the cusp. I don't want to get Pollyannish here, but we could be on the cusp of the most significant diplomatic achievement since World War II.
Well, that's what's fascinating here, because we've been down this road many times, first with Kim Jong-un's father and then with Kim Jong-un, right, where they have promised, let's get into negotiations. Sure, you give us some money, we'll have some denuclearization plans. They've pledged to do it before. They always cheat. They always renege. So the question becomes, what has changed this time to make a difference and to make Pompeo and the president think that Kim might be sincere?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is the conditions that he told Director Pompeo that he's not sharing with us.
Okay.
Gives us some indication. And obviously one of them now is out in the public. And the other thing is what is happening between North and South Korea. They are talking about ending the war and ending the armistice between the two countries. The next step then is demilitarize the peninsula. In other words, pull the forces off of the DMZ.
Right.
That is the next logical step. Those are huge positive steps, indicating then, if those shoes fall, indicating that Kim Jong-un is likely sincere about denuclearizing. And we're going to have to put our conditions on the table. Listen, we're going to have to see the fuel sites, the storage sites, the launch facilities, the research sites. We got to see everything and verify that, and that'll take months and months down the road for all of that to happen.
But the key thing, one of the key points is if U.S. forces can stay in South Korea, that's a huge concession, because that's always been one of the North Korea's biggest demands. And frankly, it's also been a goal of China, which wants the U.S. out of the peninsula ultimately. And we don't know what role China's playing behind the scenes here.
Well, I think they are playing a pivotal role. I think the meeting in China was all about that. They shared exactly what the conditions would be when North Korean leader met President Trump, what he was willing to concede. And I think China is playing a huge role here. And I think China has made up its mind that this headache of nuclearized peninsula and this constant frustration that the North Korean leader provides, not just to the West, but also to China. This whole thing that's been going on for years is an impediment to China's huge geopolitical and economic ambitions. And they want to get on with it, particularly to this new president. He is the most ambitious leader and the most powerful leader China's ever had since Mao Zedong. And the North Korean leader, I think, is an obstacle to him.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Japan, because Shinzo Abe has invested an awful lot in his relationship with President Trump. And yet he has, I think, some cause to feel like maybe he's been left behind in all of these Korean discussions. One of the reasons I think he came to talk to the president this week was to say, look, what's going on here, and are we on the same page? What does the president have to do to reassure Japan?
Well, certainly Japan's always had pause for concern here because, you know, South Korea's got missiles, obviously, that can range that country, and he's actually flown missiles over the country. So they have huge, significant interest here. But I think the president gave him assurances, you know, how tough-minded he is, that he's not going to fold and pull the economic sanctions back as a result of these discussions. He's got to have to see and verify that there really is denuclearization going on before he eases up the pressure. After all, the pressure is a contributing factor here. I mean, I was told by sources that before we started interdicting ships at the ports in North Korea, they had lost about 80% of their revenue. And they wanted to get the other 10%, stopping the back door with shipping companies bringing in supplies. So that's pretty significant economic pressure that's taken place here. And I also believe that President Trump's played a large role here by putting the military option on the table, and other actions he's taken around the world, I think, has also convinced the North Koreans that he's likely sincere about a potential of a military option.
All right, fascinating turn of events. General Keane, thanks for being here.